There's been reports now for months which are contrary to what Toyota has revealed publicly. These reports are that Toyota's internal combustion engine car factories in China are running at around about half production. Toyota says, they say, well, no, we just don't have supply of the parts. The truth is demand has gone down. And if demand was really as good as what Toyota is saying in China, not talking about the rest of the world, in China, then Toyota would not have just fired so many staff. I think that there's some challenges going on here for Toyota that are much bigger than what they're letting on, much bigger than what they're revealing. Mitsubishi just left China, period. Jeep did the same. Well, now the Japanese automotive industry is losing market share in China, and obviously Toyota are very concerned. This is what's going on. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Sam Evans, coming to you from Australia. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. Now, I put into ChatGPT, right, the latest version of ChatGPT. I said, what should Toyota do to save its bacon? Now, I didn't say those exact words, but something along those lines. And ChatGPT gave me this essay that's so long I wouldn't bore you with it. It's just so long and detailed. All the things that Toyota need to do to try and resurrect their car company. And ChatGPT, it generally doesn't like to give you a prediction for the future, but it's basically suggesting that Toyota is in some pretty severe trouble. It's well aware of the information that we now know, which is this: Toyota's EVs are failing in China. I mean, the fail is so bad, it's actually of epic proportions. I can't believe no one's talking about this, because the fact that they've actually reduced their EV, the bZ4X, they bring out this brand new electric car. It's Toyota, right? It's the brand name of the world. It's the brand name of Asia. It has so much kind of backing, heritage behind the brand, the perception of quality. They bring out this new EV, right? Marketing spend, marketing. Toyota spends on marketing like you wouldn't believe. Why do you think the media are so kind to them, in spite of their many insane comments over the last whatever many years? Because they benefit from Toyota so much money, right? And what happens? They bring out this new EV, put in all this big marketing campaign, and it's a flop. The thing is, it wasn't just a flop. I mean, it's barely selling. And that's in spite of the fact that it is the cheapest car in its segment. I mean, look at its competitors. Look at their prices. We're talking the Chinese car market here. This is already very affordable. Toyota China reduces the price of the bZ4X, right? Initially, the price was around $31,000. Then at the reveal day, they reduced the price again because they weren't getting pre-orders. Then they reduced it down to $24,000. And then many dealerships reduced the price down to $20,000. That is really bad, because if the price had been reduced to $20,000 and all of a sudden they'd sold thousands and thousands of them, you'd say, well, okay, this is a challenge for Toyota here. They're going to have to increase the price because clearly they're making a loss on this car, but at least they're selling. But even at that price, no one wants them. How much real brand cachet does Toyota really have left in the world's biggest car market? Turns out, not as much as what people really thought. Japan's largest automaker, who basically dictate what the other automakers in Japan do. If you don't believe me, well, have a look into it. It's actually true. They've always been the presidents, the dictators of the Japanese automotive industry. There is a Japanese Automotive Industry Association, and all the Japanese automakers are part of it. Toyota is always the president. Whoever's the CEO, basically the president of Toyota, is the president of the Japanese automotive industry, and they basically dictate policy. They dictate what is said and what it's done in Japan. People don't realize this, but that's really the key reason behind why all Japanese automakers are in the same boat of basically a Titanic ship that has hit an iceberg and it's just slowly sinking into the frigid, freezing, cold ocean. Slowly. And, well, in Mitsubishi's case, and Honda's case, and Mazda's case, and Nissan's case, quickly. In 1975, American automakers were convinced that Americans weren't about to give up their vehicles they were used to. Their big trucks, their big sedans, their big... everything's big. Everything's bigger in America, especially in Texas. I've been told many times by Texans, everything's bigger there than here. I lived with a few Texans for a while. I love them. They were great guys, but everything was bigger. Burgers were bigger. The fries were bigger. The drinks were bigger. Everything, every single thing you could see everywhere. It doesn't matter what it is. The highways were bigger. The houses were bigger. Everything is bigger. Americans were surprised to see that the Japanese automakers came in and they disrupted the market with things that were smaller. So American automakers, they've had to adapt and change to that. They've lost a lot of market share as a result, but they've started to gain some back recently. Because, unlike their Japanese counterparts, they've tried to actually give the market what it wants. Now, they haven't done the best job at this. Of course, Tesla's done the best job at this, but the truth is they're going in that direction. Now these Japanese automakers are losing market share in China because they simply haven't been that interested in giving the market the products that it wants. When the world sees one segment growing exponentially, which of course is electric cars, look at the numbers I report on this channel all the time. People would like to refute these numbers and they go, no, it's not happening. I say your data is false. You must be lying. The Netherlands, their data must be false. It's fake news. Cybertruck is fake. It will never exist. I'm telling you, Norway's numbers, they're irrelevant because Germany's on the same area and Germany's not. Well, actually, Germany's heading in the same direction, buddy. So the numbers are real. We are moving towards EVs. And in spite of the fact that Japanese automakers have been in denial about that for a long time, they're now starting to wake up. Toyota has laid off workers in its factories. It's paused production in its Chinese factories. Japanese automakers are stumbling in China's evolving auto landscape. That's just the reality here. According to a new report from Reuters, Toyota's joint venture with China's Guangzhou Automobile Group, or GAC, laid off workers, offering them compensation. Workers who were affected said the move comes as the Japanese automaker is struggling in China's ultra-competitive auto market that's rapidly transitioning to EVs. Now, here's the thing. This is the big issue here. Nobody knows how many of Toyota's models they're actually legally allowed to sell come the 1st of January 2024. I mean, that's what? 5 months away. It's possible. It's actually really possible that 80% of the cars Toyota sells in China will be illegal for them to sell based on the new emissions rules. No one knows. Toyota hasn't disclosed any of this information. If you're a shareholder of the company, don't you think this would be important? Don't you think it'd be important for Toyota to say, well, guys, okay, 50% of our cars don't meet the emissions regulations in China, that these new standards are coming out. Therefore, we're going to sell these models. They don't seem to even have a plan for that. They don't seem to even know which models they can't sell. Now, we know, right, that there are literally millions of cars. There's literally millions. I'm not making that up. There's millions of cars, not EVs, by the way. That clickbait videos, just ignore that crap. But there's millions of internal combustion engine cars sitting around in dealerships, in parking lots in China already. We already know that they're there because they don't meet, right, what customers are after. The Chinese car market has been flooded with cars. There's just too many cars. Same thing starting to happen in the US. However, it's about to get worse because a very large percentage of the vehicles that currently sell in China aren't legal to sell as of the 1st of January 2024. So how will Toyota even respond to this? I don't know. I mean, surely they would have a plan, but no one knows what that plan is. Investors of Toyota don't know what that plan is. Maybe Toyota don't even know what that plan is either. I don't know. I mean, yeah. Anyhow, Toyota launched the BZ4X in China in October of 2022 with a starting price of, well, initially $31,000. However, they reduced the price eventually to $19,000 after it didn't sell. That is so far below Toyota's cost, it's not funny. Why is this happening? Well, Tesla and BYD, their sales have increased significantly this year in China. Yes, it's true, they have cut prices, but nowhere near, not even remotely close to how much Toyota has cut prices, and they're still selling. Their sales are going up. While Toyota, who's offered the biggest discounts, their EV sales, well, they never even went up in the first place, even with the new model. In fact, 2 new models, BZ3 and the BZ4. And now they've just had to recall all BZ3s sold because of some kind of faults that Toyota have already discovered. The Japanese automaker sold 3,844 BZX models in China over the last 7 months. I mean, this is a car market of 27 million cars per year. That represents 0.2% of China's EV market. To boost sales and remain competitive, they just kept lowering the price, but it did nothing. Despite launching its first electric sedan in China earlier this year, the BYD-powered BZ3, so it's basically like a Toyota Corolla electric version, came out at a fairly attractive sales price of $27,000. It's bigger than a Tesla Model 3. It's got some decent new technology. That isn't really selling either. After taking over for longtime leader and grandson to the company's founder, Akio Toyoda, who anointed himself as Grand Overlord and President of the company, in April, former Lexus branding chief officer Koji Sato said Toyota would need to act urgently to keep up in China's EV market. After seeing the impact of EVs at the Shanghai Auto Show, he said, "We need to increase our speed and efforts to firmly meet the customer expectations in the Chinese market." Meanwhile, Toyota is not the only Japanese automaker suffering in China amid the country's shift to EVs. According to the China Association of Automobiles, Japanese automakers' market share in the region has fallen from 20% last year, in fact it was closer to 21%, to less than 15% in the first half of 23. That means it's lost more than 25% market share. Electric vehicle sales in China reached over 2 million through the first 5 months of the year, up 52% year over year as buyers continue to adopt EVs at a record pace. Japanese automakers who have been the biggest laggards in the EV market are feeling the pinch the most. Mitsubishi Motors, like I mentioned before, has withdrawn from China. Mitsubishi said this: "In the past few months, management and shareholders have tried to the best of our ability but due to market conditions and with great reluctance and regret, we must seize the opportunity to transition to new energy vehicles, but not in China. The company will resurrect after going through trials and tribulations." Maybe it will, maybe it won't. After peaking at over 134,000 sales only a couple of years ago, Mitsubishi sales have fallen to only 34,000 in 2022 and far less than that over the first 6 months of this year. Their sales are so low that they're a tiny percentage of what they were a few years ago. However, all Japanese automakers, including Honda, Mazda, and Nissan, are seeing sales fall in China to a lack of electric vehicle models to compete with domestic automakers. Sales of Chinese brands accounted for 53% of the market through the first half of the year, as domestic EV makers like BYD, NIO, Li Auto, XPeng, and Aeon in particular, their growth has been incredible this year, continue to grab market share with unique models in essentially every segment. Last year, a climate report group warned Japan could risk a 14% drop in GDP if it failed to boost EV output. And it looks like that's what will happen. In fact, I predict that Japan will lose closer to 20% in GDP. Japanese automakers, of course, are not the only companies being affected in China. Volkswagen has seen its sales drop, and it's now been surpassed by BYD. I mean, no one would have thought a couple of years ago when I started saying this would happen in China that it was realistic. It was just fanciful. But BYD's sales have just skyrocketed. They're literally up by a factor of 250% over the last 24 months. The challenges faced by Toyota in China's fast evolving EV market highlight the urgent need for the company to adapt its strategy to remain competitive. But the thing is, it needs to do the same thing in not just China, but it needs to do it in Europe. I mean, there's 3 major auto regions in the world. They are Europe, North America, and China. Obviously, China and Europe are looking very, very precarious for not only Japanese automakers, but of course, Toyota. Now we've seen Toyota start to fire staff. The question is not how many have they fired, but it's how many will they end up firing by the end of the decade. Could be tens of thousands. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching.